Foxdale Court, we have a waste management area. It's located just at the back here. We'll go for a little walk around our waste management area at the end of this little talk. But we have the facilities and the infrastructure to recycle food waste, plastic, cardboard, and also glass. This is a little story and some pictures about just how our journey started. So it is the landlord's responsibility to manage the waste in this building. We started our journey in 2011. We're moving on to almost 13 years now of managing waste within the building. You can see when we started, we opened up the building and there was literally a mountain of waste outside of the supermarket and from all the eateries. When you look at that waste, I looked at it and I saw paper, I saw plastic, I said food waste. I went, all of this waste can be recycled. So we worked with a company called the Central Recycling Company. You can see they came through and they were sort of rummaging through piles of paper and looking for plastic to recycle. We took the next step and we set up some bins. We created a waste management area. We bought some nice bins. We put some nice labels on them. Unfortunately, a lot of our tenants haven't been that good at putting the waste in the correct bin, which is also why we've got this talk with everyone today. But basically, when you look at this waste, when you look at it, you can see cardboard, you can see paper, you can see plastic bags, and you can see food waste. All of this waste can be recycled, but it can only be recycled if we're separating from source. This is really the fundamental, the starting point of recycling. Again, this is a journey. It's a long-term journey, and we will never stop this journey. It's a journey that we're all taking together. But a few years later, we further improved our waste management area. We invested in composting machines so that we can compost our waste, so that you can turn your food waste directly into compost, and this can all be used in gardens, also in vegetable gardens. We have cages where we can separate the paper and the plastic. And then last year, we relocated our waste management area, further improved it, made it larger. And again, you can see what it looks like at the moment. So we're also investing huge amounts of time and effort into providing the infrastructure so that we can separate. We've got cages, we've got labels, we've got these beautiful composting machines. So why are we all sitting here today? Why have you all taken your time? Why have I also taken my time to sit here and talk about garbage? So why are we so fussed about recycling? So on Monday morning, I went into the waste management area. I go in on almost a daily basis. And on most days when I go in, this is what it looks like. Just, if you please just have a look at the pictures. When the waste comes into the waste management area like this, when it's all mixed together, when the food waste is all mixed with the paper waste, this paper can't be recycled. It's wet, it's damp. Our local paper recycling companies, they won't accept it. When also food waste is mixed in with the plastic, it starts to smell. It takes a lot of effort and time, money and resources to start washing this plastic. And also when the food waste isn't also separated, it also starts to rot. And we know the smell of rotting food as well. It's that stench. Rotting food creates, it emits methane. That smell. Methane goes into the atmosphere. It's not good for the environment. But when food waste is separated, then you can compost it, and then you can create this beautiful material. It has the most wonderful smell. It has that smell of in sort of late October, early November, when the first rains hit the ground. That beautiful fresh smell of earth, which anything can grow in. That's compost, creating compost is just fantastic for the environment. So, these are also pictures here of our waste management area. And I want to show you these pictures here because, we've invested in all the infrastructure. But if we're not separating immediately, directly from the source, it comes into our waste management area, and it's very difficult for us to rummage through it all and separate and recycle. So, in Zambia they say that we don't have any mountains, but we do have a mountain, and that mountain is called Mount Chungu, Mount Chunga. I don't know how many of you have been over to the dump site on the Great North Road, the Chunga dump site. It's the biggest mountain that we have, I'd almost say in Zambia, but at least in Lusaka. And when the waste isn't separated, this is where it goes. But what is garbage? What are all of these items which we are, if you're driving on the road, if you're walking on the road, you see this literally being thrown out of a minibus window. You walk, if you walk on the street, again, like everyone's just throwing our garbage all over the place. What is this? This is cash. This is money. There's a direct correlation between trash and cash. So, plastic. These plastic bottles over here, these plastic bottles, if it's washed plastic, you will get between 1 kwacha 70 to 7 kwacha per kg. This is cash. Straight in dalama, in your pocket. What is this? This is money. This is cash. Our local recycling companies, they'll give you 1 kwacha 20 per kg if you take this cardboard directly to them. And then, what's this? This will turn into compost. And how many of you, I'm a very keen small-scale home farmer. How many of you are small-scale farmers? Do anyone have some wonderful show of hands? Who's growing a little bit of maize at the moment? Maybe some pumpkin leaves, something in the garden? Wonderful, a great farmer. Who knows the price of fertilizer at the moment, of urea, compound D? It's between 200 to 300 kwacha per bag. Who has that money? I don't have that money. But you can make compost. Compost is full of the fantastic nutrients, which will give you a great yield for your vegetables. You don't need to buy any fertilizers or compound D. Literally, you can make compost right in your backyard, in your garden, completely free. But what are we doing with our money? Because this is all kwacha. This is all money. What are we doing with it? We're burning it. We're burning our money. In our waste management area, when we don't separate our waste, it comes to the back there. It's all mixed. There's not much that we can do with it. It ends up, we then shovel all that garbage that you saw there, which is money. We shovel that money and we load it onto a truck, kwacha notes, onto a truck, and we drive it over to the dump site, and we offload it at the dump site, and we start burning our money. So, literally, all of this is this, okay? It's all of this, okay? So, this is exactly what we're doing. Okay, so who's going to help me out and burn our money? Who's going to help me? It seems that the wind is in our favor. The wind doesn't want us to burn our money. So can I burn it? Can I burn this money? Okay, shall we burn it? Okay, are you sure? Are you sure? We shouldn't just burn it. Okay, because this is what's happening on a daily basis, every second that somebody takes plastic like this, throws it out of the window. If you walk around, I mean, look at Lusaka. These are pictures of Lusaka. It's a filthy place. But what is all of this? All of this is cash. And we just throw it out of the window like this. We throw it, okay, so, literally, this is what's going all over the place. If I didn't have, who needs more food on their table? Who needs money in their pockets? We should all be running around and picking up. We should all be running around and picking up all these items and taking them to our recycling companies. Okay. This is kwacha. This is in Dalama. So if anyone says, my mom is sick, my dad is in hospital, my child is sick, let's all start picking up our money and taking it for recycling. and keeping our country clean, because trash is cash. Okay, so at Foxdale Court, every year we celebrate World Environment Day. It's on the 4th of June. So for the past 2 years, we've been taking our team to the dump site, to the Chunga dump site. It's very difficult to actually get a picture of the Chunga dump site because there's people there and they don't allow you to take pictures. But some of these pictures are taken actually from the outskirts of it. You can already see how big that mountain is. You can see the smoke which is coming out of the dump site. When you go there yourself, you will smell the dump site from a good, at least, half a kilometer away because of the smell, that methane smell of food which is rotting. You will smell that sweet smell of plastic being burnt. Literally, our plastics being burnt, our money being burnt. And then you will see big excavators. They drive on top of these big heaps of garbage, and they try to compact our garbage into the ground, compacting our money into the ground. And then you'll see a few children, a few women, a few men as well, trying to actually they call them the scavengers. They walk around and they try to pick up the cardboard, they pick up some of the plastic, and some of these people then take them onwards to recycling companies. But it's a hazardous environment. Children are walking around barefoot on these mountains of plastic which is being burnt. Come on, guys, we are Zambians. We are smart. We are the most intelligent people. We can start this, we can do this. We separate directly from source. If you're separating from the source, the plastic is clean, the paper is clean, your food waste can be recycled, can go directly to recycling companies, you can compost your waste directly at home. So what we did during our World Environment Day tour from the dump site, we then went onwards to M&F Packaging. It's one of the largest plastic recycling companies here in Zambia, and plastic consumable manufacturing company here in Zambia. If you see some of the items that they're making, it's all these wonderful household items which we're using on a daily basis. Plastic cups, plastic plates, spoons, hangers, children's toys. We had a wonderful tour of the company, and the manager explained to us, he said, right now, we are still mainly importing most of our raw materials from South Africa. We're not receiving enough local plastic which can be recycled. And then you sort of think to yourself, gosh, but when I look out of the window, when I look in any drainage, when I look in Ingwerere River, I don't know how many of you have looked inside the river, there is, it's tons and tons and tons of plastic. And where are we throwing our plastics? During the rainy season, there's so many people actually that take their garbage and they throw it into the drains during a heavy rain so that it washes away. Where are those plastics? Where is the food waste? Where is it all going? A lot of it ends up literally in the Ingwerere River. The river floods. There's lots of small-scale farmers that are irrigating their crops from that river. Plastics do start to break down. They do. It takes about 400 years for plastic to break down. But it slowly does. And it turns into microplastics. Teeny, 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 small pieces of plastic. That plastic goes into the water. It goes into the soil. All of those wonderful crops which have been grown along the Ingwerere River, those plastics are going into our bodies. We all have a small amount of microplastics inside of our bodies. But also, what was really, really important about this tour that we did and the information that they shared with us is they said that, so they are the people that work at the dump site that are collecting some of these plastics and taking them onwards to the recycling company. But the plastics arrive dirty. So it means that this company, they then have, this is the washing process over here. They have to spend a lot of money on electricity, on water, on labor, washing these plastics. They also spend a lot of money on separating the plastics. You can see some pictures here of the plastics that they do recycle. It's from these bottles, literally lollipop sticks. The next time your child eats a lollipop stick, put that lollipop stick in the plastic bin because it's plastic. If you have a look here, it's absolutely incredible what they're doing. They're separating literally 1-ton bags like this, full of plastic lollipop sticks because it's plastic and it's money and it can be recycled. Children's toys, black construction plastic, all these plastic items can be recycled. But they're spending a lot of money having to wash them and clean them before they can turn it into a raw material to make more of their plastic items. So they told us, look, if we can receive clean plastic items so that we don't have to wash it, make it easy for us, put it in a bin like this to make it easy for us to separate it. It means we will then be receiving more of our local plastic, which can be recycled. We don't have to be importing the raw materials from South Africa, and we don't have to be washing and sorting it. It means we can bring the cost down of our everyday plastic items. So now doesn't that make sense? Wouldn't we all like to buy a spoon at a cheaper price, to buy a plate, a plastic plate at a cheaper price, all these items that we are using? And that can happen if we all start separating from the source, and if all companies, all individuals are working together to get our plastics over to these recycling companies, get our paper to recycling companies, we can have cheaper local consumables. Doesn't that make sense? And it's easy. All you have to do is put it in the correct bin. Few pictures here of just the process in which they make these plastic products. So from the washing process, they then melt the plastic. They then break the plastic down into what almost looks like plastic spaghetti coming out of a machine. They cool it down and then they cut it into small little fine, small little pieces. And this is the raw material that they then use to then make, as you can see here, some plastic spoons. So really just incredible to see. So look, there is an alternative to our Mount Chunga, our enormous dump site. And the alternative, and it starts right here. It starts from separating your waste from the source. So here at Foxdale Court, we have signs, we have labels, we're able to separate your paper, your plastic, your food waste. These are just some examples, again, of what these items can be turned into. So your paper products locally. There's people that are making egg trays made out of recycled paper. Companies like Sobe are making toilet paper out of recycled cardboard and recycled paper. Other companies are making bags, paper bags out of your paper. The plastic, as we saw with M&F packaging, so many items can be made out of recycled plastic. Your conduit pipes, water tanks, furniture. It's a local company making beautiful, very solid, very robust furniture out of recycled plastic. Big one is Millimill bags. Have you thought about your Millimill bags? They're all made out of recycled plastic. There are companies here locally making your Millimill bags, but mainly bringing in the raw materials from South Africa. Wouldn't it be nice if a bag of Millimill was cheaper because the packaging has been made locally, made out of our recycled plastic? Doesn't that make so much sense? Water bottles as well. Water bottles can be made out of recycled plastic. Hose pipes. It really, the list goes on and on. But we need our local clean raw materials. And then you've got your food waste. So you can turn any leftover waste directly into beautiful compost and used in your garden. But you need to separate it. And you need to make sure that in your food waste, that you don't have any, I'm always finding things like this in the compost that we're making, bits of bottle tops as well, bits of plastic inside the food waste, things like this. So please, you can do it straight from the source. In your kitchen, have a little bin, whether it's a bin like this, whether it's literally just a dish, and you can put two dishes on top of each other for your food waste separation bin at home. Literally, as soon as you're chopping your vegetables, the leftover, the leftover waste, you put it straight into your food bin. So easy, and then you can start making your compost, and you make sure that you don't have any plastic items, because ideally you don't want that going into your soil. You can then, that's the process for making compost. So I'd like to just speak a little bit more about compost, because I'm a very keen composter. And it's also something that you can very easily do at home, and it also provides an opportunity for other little items like till slips. These could all actually go into your compost. So what is compost? Because I find it to me it almost feels like a magic show. It almost feels like a magician. I have how does this turn into this in a space of 6 weeks? It just feels like a magic show to me. So basically, what compost is that we have on everything. We have a little bit of bacteria. We have some bacteria in our hands. If you look at a cabbage leaf, there'll be a little bit of bacteria, good bacteria, on these leaves. You have other microorganisms. You have little things like beetle grubs. I brought a few little beetle grubs in today, which are from our compost heap. You've got beetle grubs. You've got earthworms as well. You have wood lice. All these little microorganisms. They eat away at green and brown material. A green material being a nitrate, and a brown material being a carbon. And when they eat at this material, so this the food waste is a green material as well. Anything with water in it. These our little friends of nature, when they eat away at these greens and brown material, they poo, they defecate, and what their feces is compost. So that's basically the process that happens. So when they have finished eating away at all your beautiful green and brown material, you have compost left, and that's how you know when your compost is finished. So, if you're a keen farmer and you want your fertilizers, you want your compost fast, how can we speed up the process of making compost? Because we're making compost now within 4 weeks. That's pretty fast. How can we speed it up? So you need to look after your microorganisms. A microorganism, it's an organism, it's a living organism, living entity. So if you think about what do you do with your child or either yourself, we need food. Your microorganisms need food. We need water. We need warmth, and we need air to live. So sometimes I like to think about it a bit like a party. These little microorganisms, you're inviting them in for this party. You're giving them food, you're giving them, there's some water there, almost like mossy. You're giving them, mossy. There's a nice breeze coming through. There's some nice air. It's a nice warm environment. And then they just start eating and drinking and dancing and creating heat. And as they generate heat, it speeds up the process of composting, because you need this pot to be really, really nice and hot. And then literally once they've, the party's over, once the food is finished, once the water is finished, and they've made your compost, and then they move on. And then you can then use this incredible compost for all your vegetable gardens. So that's sort of how you have to think about it. So it's your greens and your browns, and you layer them. So basically, these are just different items that you can use to layer your compost. At Foxdale Court, we're using composting machines. It's a drum, and we put the food waste, and we put sawdust, and food waste and sawdust, and then we close it. So when we close it, we're creating that nice warm environment. And then these drums, they have some holes on the side, so that allows some air to come in. And then we turn it on a daily basis. That again, it ventilates the little drum. It provides air for our little microorganisms. And within 6 weeks, we're making beautiful compost. But literally in your own homes, and what I do in my home is what you can see in these pictures here. It's very simple. It costs absolutely zero. It costs nothing. And you have beautiful compost at the end of the process. So we make a little heap. Make a heap that will eventually be about a meter high, maybe 1.2 meters high in the end. And you want to layer it. So the first layer that we start off with are some little twigs or sticks. Put that down as our base layer. That's a brown material, it's your carbon. Then you want to put a green material on top. So if you've been weeding, if you've been slashing your grass, if you've been working in your fields, maybe we have some maize cobs, you then put a green material on top of your twigs. You then want to put a brown material on top of that green material. So leaves, old seeds, this sort of material. If you have any hay, any dry grass, any dry hay, something like this, all of this, the beautiful brown material. These are banana leaves, great brown material. So you put that brown material on top. When you do it at home, make the piles a little bit, make the layers a little bit bigger than what I've illustrated here. And then once you have a layer of about 1/2 meter high with your browns, your greens, your browns, and your greens, you then start putting your food waste on top of this heap. So literally on a daily basis at home at 16 hours, we take out our food waste and we pour it on top of our heap. So so just to illustrate, we pour this on top of our heap, and then we take a layer of brown material and we put that on top of our food waste. The next day, we take some more of our food, empty it out, put it on top of the heap, and we continue that until the heap is about this big. So yeah, that 1.2 meters high. So at home, it takes us about 1 week to get a heap that's about this height. We then take about a 20-liter bucket of water, pour it on top. If you have a hose pipe, you can just spray your compost heap down with a little bit of water, because you're looking after your microorganisms. You're giving them the food that they need, which is the greens and the brown materials. They need water, so you pour a little bit of water on top, and then they need warmth. So in terms of making a warm environment, a few examples here. Literally use whatever you have. Composting it's cheap, and it needs to be cheap. So don't use anything expensive, but use whatever you have. If you at home, we had some leftover shade cloth, so we put some shade cloth on top. But literally, you can use, if you have leftover milli-meal bags, just break over your milli-meal bag, put it on top of your compost heap. Put some stones on top. If you have even cement bags as well, clean the cement bag. You can put cement bags on top of it. You can use cardboard as well. Break up some nice cardboard boxes and put that on top. It'll create a nice warm environment. And then once a week, you want to then almost take off, if you can call it a blanket, take off your cover, or take off that blanket, take a fork, or you can even use your hands, but otherwise you can use a fork and just turn it. Ideally, don't use a spade, because a spade can break your little microorganisms, and so you want to use a fork which can easily get in there and turn it. And then give it another 20-liter bucket of water. If you've got a hose pipe, just spray it down with a little bit of water and cover it again. Continue that process for 4 to 6 weeks, and you'll have beautiful compost. You know that your compost is ready when your food waste is unrecognizable. So when your tomato no longer looks like a tomato and it looks like this, when your pineapple head no longer looks like this, it looks like soil, then you know that your compost heap is ready. Compost will also get very hot. So you know when your compost is ready, when it's cooled down. During the process of making compost, when you open it up and you're turning it, you will literally see steam coming out of the compost heap. And then you also know that you're making really fantastic compost. And maybe the last thing is, once you've, I'd say, sort of, sometimes I have this analogy of cooking. When you're making compost, you want to sort of in almost like chop all your vegetables up, chop up your green and brown material, and sort of almost put it into a cooking pot and put the lid on it. So the lid is almost like that warmth environment. But once you put that lid on, you don't want to start adding extra green and brown material into your compost heap. Otherwise, they'll be cooking at different times. If you're making a soup and halfway through you start adding more carrots into your soup, then you'll have some of your soup will be cooked, the other half won't be cooked. So that's a little way of thinking about it. You want it all to be cooked at the same time. So that's a little bit about compost. You can also add ash into your compost. If you've been boiling some beans on your embowler, throw that lovely ash into your compost heap. It's a brown material, it's a carbon, it will add lovely nutrients into your compost. If you can also add any manure. So if you have chickens, if you have pigs, if you have cows, you can break up that manure, add a couple shovelfuls into your compost heap. Again, it's a lovely carbon material. Will add beautiful nutrients into your compost. And then encourage everyone to do a little bit of bit of gardening and a little bit of growing in your own gardens, and you can really just reap the rewards of this wonderful compost that you're creating. These are pictures from my vegetable garden at home. Please get your children involved in this whole process. Kids, they love being able to see things grow, go out and pick the food that they have planted themselves. A few pictures of my children there. We're very keen farmers. And then I just wanted to share with you, just for maybe to share a bit of inspiration, just a small journey that I've been on at home. I used to have an area of our garden that we would irrigate, was grass, and we're irrigating it. And I've been reflecting a lot on what is it that I'd like to use water for. I like to drink water, and do I want to irrigate lots of grass with water? And actually no. But if there's one thing that I would really like to use water for, it's to grow food. So I created actually quite a relatively large section of our garden into a vegetable garden, and this was the process, and this is what it looks like now. So we created a lovely vegetable garden. We use drip irrigation to irrigate our vegetables because drip irrigation is so water efficient. It's incredible. And then we built. It looks a bit like a greenhouse, but it's also an outdoor kitchen. So there's a stove, and I love to cook in the outdoor kitchen, harvest vegetables from the garden, cook in the kitchen, and you can see this beautiful table here. Invite friends, and so pick, cook, and enjoy that food with friends and family. So thank you so much, everyone. Please go wild, and start to separate from the source. So just behind you, if you turn around, this is the receiving area of our waste management area. If you look behind you, that's a new area that we've created. It's called Too Good to Go, because we get a lot of food waste that comes out of either Pick and Pay, Digibont, a lot of the eateries, which maybe it's expired by a day, or the bread is a little bit deformed, but it can still be eaten. So that's an area where any food waste which can still be eaten, it goes in our Too Good to Go area. And people can literally just pick it up and take it straight home. At the end of the day, if anything hasn't been collected, then it does go into the food waste area. You can see the drop-off area for the plastic and also the drop-off area for paper. And then over here, you can see lots of beautiful fruit flies, which are at work, eating away at this biodegradable waste. So this is the receiving area for the food waste. So there's actually, I can see some nice ash that's gone inside here. That's really nice to see. So this is where the food waste comes in, and we layer it. It's food waste and sawdust, food waste and sawdust, until it's completely full. I can see a little bit of plastic here. So this is the kind of stuff that you really want to avoid going into directly into your food waste. Otherwise, you're going to end up having plastic in your compost. Ideally, you don't want plastic in your compost. So when these bins are completely full, we close them, we seal them, and we don't open them. We physically lock them, actually, put a lock on them, so no more food waste goes inside. And then we turn them on a daily basis. So we use this lever here to turn it. You can also just get a fork and just turn it here, and then it takes 4 to 6 weeks. And you've got beautiful compost. So you can see one bin here which is almost full. And then there's some bins over here which are about, I'd say these are probably about 3 weeks old. And then you can also see how the food waste, it breaks down so much. So when the process starts, this bin will be completely full. But when the compost is finished, I mean, you're getting one small wheelbarrow of compost. It really it breaks down into quite a small amount. And then here at the back area, we've got our just more paper waste, which is now ready to go to or for recycling. We've got some more plastic ready for recycling. But if you just come down a little bit further here, so this is the other waste. So this is the waste that's going to the landfill. If you have a look, I mean, have a look at the other bin. There's heaps of plastic bottles. There's conduit pipes as well. There's this hard plastic. This is money, and this can be recycled. You know, this should be in this bin over here. But we can only do that. We can only recycle more waste if everyone is separating from the source. Then the waste comes here, it's clean, and it's easy to put in these correct cages, goes directly into these cages, and it can go off for recycling. If the waste doesn't come through sorted and separated, a lot of the waste ends up in other. And it becomes very difficult to start sorting and separating through the waste. So please, I'm urging all of you, please use the bins which are all around Foxdale Court, in your own homes as well. Please create some waste separation bins, because then we can start hugely reducing the amount of waste, which is other waste, which is going to the Chunga dump site, and we can greatly increase what is being recycled. Thank you so much.